Well, hello, welcome again to our reading of selections from Euripides. We're reading the Alkestis at the moment, and I got up to line 803. So Herakles has responded to the servant. The servant was complaining about Herakles' behaviour. Herakles says, now look here, let me give you a lesson about life. And he gives them various advice, to which the Therapone, the servant, simply responds, Epistames tauta. We know all these things. Nun deprasomen ukhoia komu kai gelotos axia. But now, praso, interesting verb here. It's something like we are experiencing, we are faring. We are experiencing such things as are not worthy of komu, revelry, kai gelotos, and laughter. So two genitives here. Gelos is the word for laughter. This is the genitive, third declension noun. Herakles says, Gune thereos he thenousa, me lian penthe, domon gadzo siton di despotai. The woman who has died was Therios. And that's that funny word. It means an outsider, so not part of the house. So the woman who died, well, she was an outsider. Me lian penthe. Now this is an imperative from pentheo. It's a contract verb, so it's penthe. And we get me for the negative. So do not grieve lian excessively, for the despotai, the masters, domon of this house, zosi are alive. Tidzosi, why are they alive? Katois the tan domois kaka. You do not, it's a question, so why are they alive? Do you not know the evils, and then this is tan for ta en, so ta kaka en domois, the evils in the house. Eme tisos me despotes epsiusato. So it's something like I would, unless sos despotas, your master, epsiusato, deceived me in some way. The Therapone says, Agan ikenos est agan philoxenos. We get a repetition of agan here for emphasis, so that man is exceedingly a philoxenos, a friend of visitors, kind to strangers, kind to visitors. Ukraine me othneu gehuneka you pascain necru. So is it not necessary, so ought I not, pascain you is something like to suffer well, to be treated. So ought I not to be well treated, hunica, on account of, so because of, sorry, is it not necessary for me to be well treated, simply, in fact, on account of some dead person who was an outsider, literally some outside corpse. So ought I not be treated well, since it was only a foreign girl who died, something like that, to paraphrase it. E cartamentoi kai liantherios ein. Now the Euripides likes to sort of build up the sense of dramatic tension for as long as possible. In fact, most of the tragedians do this. Sophocles does, of course, the same in spades in Oedipus the King. So he builds up a dramatic tension as long as possible, so he avoids Herakles being told immediately exactly who has died, at least at this stage of the discussion. So he says, "E cartamentoi kai leon thoreas ein," and indeed, very much so, and excessively, she was Therios, an outsider. So paraphrase, she was most certainly, in fact, an outsider. Mon xum foran tin usan u efras demoi. Another question. We have moan, which is of course may plus un, introducing a question. So will, yep. So surely he told, did he not tell to me what the disaster was? So this is the third person here. So indeed he didn't. Did he not tell me? Well, the usan here is probably well, did he not say to me what sort of disaster this was, for the usan here? Chiron ith, well, go on your way rejoicing. Hod u therion pemata arche logos. So it's something like, well, go rejoicing, so farewell, go on your way. The evils, so hemen despoton mele kaka, the evils of our masters, neuter plural singular verb, are of concern hemin to us. The evils of our masters are our concern. Hod u therion pemata arche logos. So this word is a beginning of sufferings which are not from outside. Literally, so you could say your account is a prelude to troubles that are perhaps closer to home for Eutherion, not outside, hence closer to home. Uga tikomas dontan akthomen sehoron. Now, often in Greek you'll get the a suppressed protasis. So you've got to understand something like, if it were otherwise, because you've got an arm here, so if it were otherwise, so we might just say otherwise, I would not have endured, I would not have put up with seeing you carousing, co-masdont, in some way. In other words, if this wasn't a serious matter, I wouldn't have been so annoyed seeing you carousing. Al e peponthaden hupaxenein emon. And indeed, that's a question here, so have I not suffered terrible things at the hands of my host, really guest friend here? Uk elthes es en dionti dexas thy domois. You did not come to be received in the house in dionti. This is an idiom, at a fitting time. So you didn't come for the house to receive you at a fitting time. So this is, it's not passive, it's middle here, isn't it? So you did not come for the house to receive you at a fitting time. Penthos gahe minesti kai stomus blepes, melam peplus curante tis. And then Herakles breaks in here. For there is penthos, there is grief for us, and blepes, you see our stolmus, our apparel, which our black-robed apparel, and our kuran, this is the shorn hair. You see our black apparel, our black dressed apparel, and our shorn hair. Herakles now breaks in the middle of the line and says, Tist hot kathanon mon e teknon tifrudon e geron pater. Who was the one who died then? Surely it was none of his children is gone, or his aged father. So surely none of his children have died, or his aged father. And finally, the servant tells him what the story is. The Theropone says, Gune min un olalen Admeto xenem. O stranger, therefore the wife of Admetos, Olalen, perfect from Olumi, has died, has perished. Tifes, what are you saying? Epeta data mexenizdete. And then, it's a question again, and afterwards then you entertained me, you treated me as a xenos. Eda toga setond aposastai domon. For, this is from that verb of showing respect, from idemai, so connected with eidos and so on, with eidos. So for he shunned to push you away from these houses. So sort of out of respect, he refrained or shunned. He was too embarrassed to push you away from this house. O sketli hoyas emplakes sun a oru. Oh, the poor man. Oh, poor man. Now, this is actually addressed metaphorically to Admetos, but so he says, "Oh, poor man, you have lost such a sun ore, such a marriage partner, or such a partner. Apollomestapantes u kene mone." We have all perished, and not just she alone. So Herakles now is aware of what's happened, and he now has a slightly longer speech. Al es domain men homa idon da kuroun kuran tekai prosopon. Al epe theme legon thurion kedos in taphon ferain. But I perceived, when I realised that when I saw his eye. Now this is a participle here, daka ro'un, neuter participle from flowing of tears. So I saw his eyes shedding tears, and his shorn hair, and his prosopon his face, but possibly here disposition, the way he looked. But he persuaded me, saying that he was carrying to the tomb, to the grave, the taphos, a kedos, a relative, but from outside, so a relative who was an outsider. Biadeth thumultasdi hupa balloon pulas epinonandros en philoxenu domois prasontes huto. Now this is an idiomatic expression here. There are other ones a little bit like this. It means, it was translated of in spite of my strong wish. So we might say against my better judgment. So literally it's by force of my thumos. So against my better judgment, hupa balone, literally casting over, so passing through here perhaps, or having intruded might be good. Having intruded on these gates, I was drinking, epinon imperfect, in the houses of a man who is kindly to guests. A man who was faring, genitive participle here agreeing with andros, huto, in this way. Kate is Kai Ater, and afterwards, having covered my cara, my head, Stephanois with garlands, Ekomasdon I engaged in revelry. From Komasdo. Al su tome phrasai, kaku tosu tu domas in pro kainego. This again is slightly, it's really exclamatory here with the other. It's sort of, to think you never told me. It's topme phrasai, the non-speaking of you. So it's an exclamatory expression. In other words, why didn't you tell me? Or it was your job to tell me. Or, but to think of your not telling me. Of such troubles, plural here, singular for plural, of such a trouble lying before the house. So with such a trouble lying before the house, why didn't you tell me, is really what he's saying here. Pu kai sphethapte, where has he buried her? Sphet for Altain here. Pu non huresa molon, having gone, where will I find her? Nin for Altain. And the servant says, Orthen par oimon, he epilarisan fere, tumbon catopse xeston ek proastiu. And oimos is a path, and so it's along the straight road, along the straight path, the one which fere, often used in this sense to lead to, which leads to Larissa. Catopse, future from Catharao, you will see a polished tomb. Ek, possibly for exo here, so it's outside of the proastiu. This is the area in front of the city, so perhaps a settlement. Just outside of perhaps the suburb. And in fact, I think in modern Greek this is the word for a suburb, but I might be wrong there. So you will see a polished tomb just outside of the city. Others take this to mean, which it could also do, others take this to mean looking out from the city. But I think it's more natural just to take it as ek for exo, so just outside of the settlement, just outside of the suburbs. And that's the next part of the Alkestis, and we'll continue this in the next recording.